was just in the garden collecting a bunch of ingredients because today I'm going to show you 2 wonderful folk remedies that my grandma taught me and your grandma should have taught you. First up, we're going to start with some honey, raw honey and garlic, something that has been around and used for centuries. Now, garlic is antibacterial and it has many disease-fighting properties to it, as well as when you look at honey, honey helps to balance your immune system, and it's also antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal. So when you put these 2 together, they're like a powerhouse. So today we're going to go ahead and make honey-infused garlic. Very simple. I'm all about easy and simple here because I don't have a lot of time. So if I need to do these things, it needs to be quick and easy. So probably the thing that took the longest was peeling the garlic. I smashed the garlic a little bit so the cloves kind of came apart, and I put it inside of a mason jar and I shook it vigorously, and then you go ahead and dump it out, and then that way a lot of the paper that covers the coating on the garlic comes off. If the cloves were smaller, I didn't cut those in half. The bigger cloves I could cut in half or even sometimes in 3 pieces, so they would be in more bite-sized pieces for me. It's very important when you are doing this that you would not put this in a smaller jar, because as this ages it will bubble up and you don't want to have a sticky mess. So make sure you use it in a larger jar than you are going to fill it up. Now here's my garlic that I chopped, and then here is raw honey that we have from our bees on our farm. Make sure you are getting raw local honey. And then I'm going to pour it over, let it go all through those cloves. I'm going to make sure it's about a couple inches over the top, but I want to make sure that it really soaks in. Now this honey is thick. I'm going to stir it up and make sure all the little garlic cloves are covered with the honey. So as you can see now, the garlic did float to the top. It was at the bottom, and so I went a couple inches above that. So that's how I know. Right now, until it is done, it's going to soak in there. It will start to kind of sink a little bit, but right now, this is kind of where you need to be. You don't want to fill it up all the way. So what's going to happen is I put the lid on it, and every day you have homework. You make sure your lid's on tight. You're going to flip it upside down, let it set a little bit, and then from there, once it gets all the honey and all that kind of falls from the bottom, then you're going to flip it back. So I get it in and then I flip it back. I'm going to do that every day, as well as you want to burp it because it will get a little bubbly in there. So just kind of open it a little bit, let some of the air out, and then close it. And you want to do this every day. It might take a week, it might take 2 weeks, and then after a couple weeks, it won't be needing to be burped anymore. But when you think about it, go ahead and just kind of flip it upside down to kind of get the garlic cloves coated. Now I want to show you this one. Now notice the difference in the color of the honey. See the difference? It's a little bit darker. As the garlic honey ages, it will get darker. And it gets a little bit more liquid from the garlic in it. So the honey won't be as thick. It's going to be more liquidy. And this garlic is probably, I'm trying to think, maybe about 9 months old. So it is darker, and as it ages, I'll show you another one. Look at the difference in these 2. That's much, much more garlic. There's just a few cloves of garlic in this one. This is probably 2 years old. Your goal is to let it set at least 3 months, because that's when you're going to get the most of your folk remedy benefits out of it that will help you. As it ages, the garlic ages, and it kind of mellows, and it tastes better. So for kids, you can give them a little garlic and have them chew it up with some honey, and generally they're pretty good at tolerating it. If they don't necessarily can't stand the garlic, then just give them a spoonful of the honey, and it works great. Sometimes I even use this on salad dressings. I put in my salad dressings, or you can use it as a marinade, because basically, guys, this is just food, and food is medicine. So if we eat good whole foods, then look what it can do. It's just 2 ingredients that work well together. So generally here on our homestead, I just like to do things as preventative, because we don't want to get sick. We want to make sure we get plenty of sleep and we're getting out in the sun and all that and eating good foods, but sometimes things happen. So what I try to do is with the honey is I'll take, like a little garlic clove. So sort of like it's our vitamin pill. Doug will have one, I'll have one. You can get a little honey on it. Just take it, chew it up. The older it gets, there's really not a lot of garlic flavor in it. I mean, it's very, very, very mild, very easy to tolerate. And then we'll just take it throughout the day. Now, let's say I was feeling I was gonna get sick. I might do this 3 or 4 times a day, okay? And then that way you won't get sick. We have a friend who has COPD, and this is something that he does, and he did not get sick last year because he was very good at doing this. Last year we showed you guys how to do this, and we had some emails saying that they didn't make enough. So make sure, depending if you have a bigger family, that you make enough. Maybe you want to make 2 or 3 jars. 1 down, 1 to go. You guys may have heard of fire cider, but today I'm going to put a little twist on it and do kind of a fun kind of fire cider. Your main ingredient of our fire cider is raw apple cider vinegar. Make sure that you're using raw apple cider vinegar with the mother, which is this cloudy stuff at the bottom. You don't want it to be clear. You don't want it to be clear, you want it to be cloudy, like this. So this is apple cider vinegar that I made from our apples last year. What year is this one? Yeah, from 2018, actually. It's going on a little over a year old. And apple cider vinegar has something very powerful in it called acetic acid. And acetic acid isn't something that you just find in vinegar. It's sort of like that sour compound you'll find in pickles or even like sourdough bread. And it's really good for inflammation, lowering your blood pressure. So this is something that is very helpful. So we're gonna put this in, this is gonna be our base, along with many other things here. Now the things that I've chosen here isn't an end-all be-all thing that you have to do too. The cool thing is you guys use with what you have in your area. So I had a lot of peppermint, so I'm gonna put some peppermint, because many of the herbs that we're gonna use today, they're all wonderful. They're antibacterial, and they're just great to add to what you're using, and this peppermint is gonna add a nice flavor. So I'm gonna go ahead and chop these up to kind of get some of the oils. And when we collected the herbs this morning, because the essential oils early in the morning are the most potent. So there is the peppermint. So today's theme for my fire cider are going to be flowers. I'm going to put a lot of flowers. There's so many healing properties to flowers, and they are good. You can eat them. So I'm going to put them and get their benefits in my fire cider, as well as the leaves on some of these. I'm going to use the nasturtiums. Now flowers aren't for everyone. If somebody has an allergy to some of these flowers, then don't use them. You know, use the things that you can tolerate and that you can, you know, use. So the next thing I'm going to use is my holy basil. And you can use any of the basils. There's so many basils. There's lemon basils or Thai basil. There is the holy basil. There's lettuce leaf basil. There's lots of basils. So you can use any kind of basil. I'm going to use my holy basil. Holy basil is an adaptogen, so it kind of adapts to your body, and it affects everyone differently depending on what they need. So the flowers from the holy basil are really good for bronchitis too. So just in case, you never know, I'm going to put some of these in here. And the seeds, the whole plant is going to be beneficial. The leaves, the stems, everything. And the smell of this holy basil is fabulous. They also call it sacred basil, Tulsi. It has its name, fire cider, for a reason, because I'm going to put a little fire in it. So I had some jalapenos out there, so I'm going to just slice some jalapenos, seeds and all. Don't touch the seeds, because they're hot. Next, I'm going to add some marigold flowers. And like I said earlier, if you're allergic to marigold flowers, don't put them in. So I'm going to put some of them in there, and it'll also make the jar look beautiful sitting on your counter. I'm also going to add wonderful garlic. And 4 cloves of garlic is equivalent to antibiotic dose. So here's your natural antibiotic. I'm going to chop these up, though, little bitty pieces. And now another one I'm going to add is cayenne, some cayenne peppers. So cayenne peppers are amazing for your circulation. And they're loaded in vitamin C. I'm gonna go ahead and just add a few slices of lemon to this because it's gonna give it a nice little flavor. I'm gonna put in some of these young cherry zinnias, so I'm gonna pop them in there too. Earlier in the season, when the elderberries were flowering, we dehydrated some elderflowers. So I'm gonna go ahead and put probably a couple tablespoons of elderflowers in there too. And then I think I'm gonna top it off with some Thai basil. It'll give it a nice kind of licorice flavor too. So that's the cool thing about this, guys. You can, and the other thing that would be really good in this is lemon balm. I might have to go get some of that too and put it in later. So if you make it and then decide you want to put some other things that you find, go ahead and do that. I'm going to pour this over it. Now since it is vinegar, I'm going to put a piece of parchment over it because it could cause my lid to rust. So that's why I put the parchment on there. Make sure the lid is on very tight. Isn't it beautiful? I'm going to shake it up. Now you could do so much more with this. You could go ahead and add horseradish root. You could grate that up. You could add ginger root, put that in there too. There's so many different ways of doing it. There's nothing right or nothing wrong. And then what's going to happen is I'm going to put this somewhere where I can see it on a shelf. Just make sure it's not in the direct sun. And you're going to shake it every single day, and after about a month, 4 weeks or so, it'll be ready to strain. And then you can give that to your chickens or compost it. And then you'll have this nice liquid with lots of benefits in it, healing benefits to it. And then you can do one of two things. You could keep it as it is and store it in your pantry and use it whenever you need it. If you want to take a tablespoon, you can also add, and a lot of people do this, they'll add honey to the taste. So if you do add honey to the taste, you could also add maple syrup. So you just add it to where it tastes good for you and then store it in your pantry. And then when you do need it, let's say if you want to just take a spoonful a day, you know, during the winter months to help you with your immune system, go ahead and do that. And if you feel like you are getting sick, I would do it, you know, 3 or 4 times a day. And then that way, hopefully, nobody will get sick. That was so easy. These are 2 home folk remedies that your grandma should have taught you. And they work well for Doug and I, but if you do need to consult a physician, then do so. And if some of you guys don't have a garden and aren't growing this, then go to the grocery store or go to the farmer's market and get it there, because anybody can do this. It's so simple and easy. Be proactive, you can do it, get ready. And then leave a comment below if you guys have done this before or if you're gonna do it. I would love to hear from you guys. See you later.